Fox News. Breaking news.
What if I told you that illegal immigrants have been running a $90 million scam right under California's nose? And that's just the tip of the iceberg. 112 hospice companies registered to a single building in Los Angeles. And when reporters showed up, not a single patient in sight. Now, Chairman James Comer is dropping bombs on Fox News, saying California's voter fraud could be 10 times worse than what was uncovered in Minnesota. And his message to Governor Gavin Newsom, and I'm going to quote this, better lawyer up. The walls are closing in on the Golden State's grift, and President Trump's DOJ is locked and loaded. So here's why this should make your blood boil. That $90 million these fraudsters tried to steal, that was your money. Medicare Advantage funds meant for your grandparents, your parents, yourself. The people who work their entire lives paying into a system that promised to take care of them. Instead, foreign nationals who entered this country illegally have been bleeding it dry. And California let it happen. $3.5 billion stolen from hospice alone in Los Angeles County. To put that in perspective, 18% of all hospice billing in the entire United States came from one single county. That's not 18% of the populations, folks. That's organized crime on a scale we've never seen. And while your premiums go up, while you worry about whether Medicare will even exist when you retire, these criminals have been living largely on your dime. It's not incompetence. This is what happens when radical leftist politicians care more about protecting illegal immigrants than protecting American taxpayers. Now, before we get to the Trump administration's plan to hunt down every last one of these fraudsters, let me tell you something that can actually help you take control of your own finances. And Gary's tried hundreds of supplements over the years, and nothing, and I mean nothing, has delivered results like C60 Evo. This Nobel Prize-winning molecule made lab animals live 90% longer. Now I know why. Gary's brain fog is gone. And joint pain that he's had for years is virtually eliminated. And his wife's skin looks 10 years younger. My energy levels feel like he's 20 years younger. This molecule is 172 times more powerful than vitamin C and worth more than gold per ounce. And Chris Burris has been making this in his Houston lab since 1991. It's not just another antioxidant. It works at the cellular level where aging actually happens. And the Paris study showed the longest life extension in history. And now Gary's family is living proof it works. Visit C60evo.com and use code NNN for exclusive savings. Whether you want more energy, clear thinking, better skin, or just to feel young again, this is your answer. Again, it's C60evo.com/NNN. Use code NNN at checkout because 90% longer life starts with one decision. Don't wait, transform your health today. All right, now let's get back to the absolute bombshells coming out of Washington about the massive California voter fraud operation. So here's what the mainstream media does not want you to understand. The new Assistant Attorney General, Colin McDonald, just went on record saying the Department of Justice believes there are approximately $100 billion in fraud. It's like a Dr. Evil, $100 billion. Waste and abuse across the system. And get this, if they eliminate just the fraud in Medicare alone, that would double the life expectancy of Medicare Trust Fund. And President Trump isn't talking about fixing the system. His Department of Justice is about to go scorched earth on every fraudster from coast to coast, and this is what I voted for. Let's get into it. From Gunther Egelman, we have new James Comer drops a bomb on Fox, says California voter fraud could be 10 times worse than Minnesota. Gavin Newsom better lawyer up. Let's see what he has to say.
You could multiply what we found in Minnesota probably by 10 in California. That's how bad it is. And what we're hoping in this investigation is we have the same success we had in Minnesota with whistleblowers coming forward, reaching out to me or other oversight committee members to sit down and do transcribed interviews so that we can finally figure out who's responsible for this fraud. What we know in California, just with respect to hospice, of all the government entities, hospice is the one that I don't think there would be anyone out there that wouldn't have full support for hospice at our worst time of need. Hospice alone, $3.5 billion just in Los Angeles County. And what that amounts to, Shad, is the whole hospice budget for the United States last year, 18% of all the billing was in Los Angeles County. And that's not 18% of the population of America. In that one county, and it's a big county, 18% of the entire billing for the United States. It is rampant in California, and Gavin Newsom knew it and hasn't done a thing about it.
That's because
are you going to bring him in?
We would like to bring him in. We're trying to start with some state employees. That's what we did in Minnesota. We proved in Minnesota that Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison knew about the fraud. We know that as we speak, there have been dozens of people in Minnesota already arrested by the Trump Department of Justice for fraud, and they're putting a case together on hundreds more in Minnesota as we speak. So we're seeing accountability there. Now we want to see that in California. So Gavin Newsom better lawyer up.
You know, they want this because the states make money off of it. Then when the federal dollars come in, they can say, hey, we used this much money last year. They can just re-ask for the same amounts. It's not a zero basis budget. And the more you use, the more you get. California is a perfect example of like federal funding gone mad. The more homeless people they have, the more money they get. So why would they actually get rid of homeless people? Because their budgets would shrink. The NGOs that are associated with all this money would disappear. It's the same thing in home health care and home hospice. It's that people don't like going to doctors, so they have to send people to look at, or people are more comfortable at home, so they have whole groups of people that'll go out there and do that. But again, when you have 100 and something businesses and one address and nobody's being taken care of, that's raising alarm bells everywhere. So as Comer's investigations into California's staggering levels of fraud gains momentum, the question of accountability looms large. Now lawmakers are demanding answers about how much a massive hospice scam was pulled off under the watchful eye of the state. It's because Gavin Newsom doesn't care. They want us to spend money. From Rep. Wesley Hunt's press office, illegal immigration just pulled a $90 million hospice scam in California. One foreign national is behind it, and even worse, 112 hospice companies were registered to a single building. And when reporters showed up, there was 0 patients. Let's see.
House Oversight Committee launches a probe into California and its hospice fraud, calling it rampant taxpayer abuse. Lawmakers want answers. And what is California doing to stop it? And how did it get this bad? A foreign national suspected of entering the United States illegally and who lived in California has been charged in a massive scheme. Prosecutors say he tried to steal more than $90 million in federal health care funds. That was money meant for Medicare Advantage patients. So what is really going on with fraud in the United States? Why is it so easy to pull off? This is the hospice epicenter, Los Angeles County, ground zero. The state has recorded $3.5 billion in taxpayer losses. Now, that's because they have over 1,923 hospice providers. That in Los Angeles County is more than 36 states total hospices combined. They had 112 in one commercial building, 112 hospice centers licensed by the state in one building. And when Fox News visited that building, they didn't see a single person.
You know, how many times have we wondered, like, how much USAID being cut off actually hurt the Democrats? I think, personally, allegedly, this is my own personal opinion, that a lot of this money goes back to the same politicians. Look what happened in Minnesota. A lot of the people that were receiving the money were donating it back to the Democrats' campaign coffers. We always wondered how they had so much money. It's because they rigged the entire system to funnel money back to them. Why would they shut off the source of all their campaign money? Why would they shut off all the kickbacks that they get back? Of course they're going to prove more. They're going to get more money. As the findings weren't alarming enough, a new chapter unfolds with the Department of Justice ready to take aggressive action. With Assistant AG Colin McDonald set to tackle fraud across the nation, the pressure mounts on California leadership to confront these accusations. From our friend Gunther Egelman, he says new Assistant AG Colin McDonald is ready to start prosecuting fraudsters coast to coast and ripping the lid off of massive scams. Let's see.
DOJ's war on fraud, and he'll hit the ground running. As Dr. Oz warns, the massive multi-billion-dollar welfare scam in Minnesota could just be the tip of the iceberg.
We think there's about $100 billion in definable fraud, waste, and abuse. To put that in context, if we just were taking out fraud, waste, and abuse in Medicare, we will double the life expectancy of the Medicare Trust Fund. So all those folks who are worried that Medicare is not going to be there for them after they finish working their whole careers, you had a lot more confidence in this beautiful social safety net, the crown jewel of our program, being viable if we get rid of the fraud, waste, and abuse. So when we talk about these other states that are in trouble, please remember that goal and general affordability of health care is of primary importance to the president.
David Asman has taken a closer look on Fox Business.
So, I mean, again, illegal immigrants come into the country and they're getting all of these services because they don't have a driver's license or a social security card. So they have to procure one, meaning it could be anybody's. And when they retire, that social security is tied to somebody else. So they get their benefits as well. It's crazy how this whole system is set up. So, this is what America First governance looks like in action, guys. For years, the establishment let this rot fester. California became a sanctuary state for criminals while American seniors wondered if their benefits would run out after contributing it their entire life to just wonder if it's actually going to be there. Gavin Newsom's California is 18% of the nation's hospice billing in one county. The math doesn't lie, and neither do empty buildings with over 100 fake hospice centers. And they got approved by the state. The previous administration looked the other way. The deep state bureaucrats collected their paychecks. But now President Trump has unleashed the DOJ to rip the lid off these scams and prosecute every single person involved. From the foreign nationals running these operations to the state officials who enabled them, nobody is safe from accountability anymore. Thank God. But here's the bottom line. This is exactly why we elected President Trump for a second term. While Democrats were busy calling us conspiracy theorists, billions of dollars were being stolen from programs meant for the hardworking Americans. And Chairman Comer is right. Gavin Newsom better lawyer up. Because when you've got 112 fake hospice companies in a single building that his administration approved with 0 patients, somebody has to answer for that. And I want to hear from you guys in the comments. Should Gavin Newsom face criminal charges for allowing this fraud to happen on his watch? Yes or no? And drop your answers below. And make sure you share the video because big tech doesn't want this story getting out. And also check out the Next News merch shop at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com to show your support for real journalism. Also subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share this with every patriot you know. This is Tom McCullough from the Next News Network. Stay informed, stay free, and God bless.
The system controls information. Information control is power. I don't want you to see this. The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.